Alright folks, we're at LR Workshop. How many Defenders is too many? Yeah, 1, 2, 3 in the background there. I do get people say it looks a bit like a UN depot when these 3 get together. Anyway, so this one's mine, that one's not mine, the one in the back is mine. I just had a few points really I was going to pick up about this. It's an interesting one. I asked on Instagram, how many Defenders is too many? And I got a few comments, and the best one was probably one more than not enough, which is very true. Maybe how many is too many is the wrong question to ask, but what is the right amount? What is the right amount of Defenders to own? Well, obviously it depends on your financial situation and space situation. I'm very lucky to be able to own 2. It's a little bit extravagant probably, but the real benefit of owning 2 is, from my perspective, I think 2 is kind of a minimum number. The reason being, you have 1 that you use and you work on and you modify and you fix and you do what you want to do with it. And the other one is a reference vehicle that's factory. It's exactly the same as the day it came out of the factory, as good condition as possible, and you use that one to help you fix this one. Because having another one for reference is just utterly unreal. It really, because you look at this stuff and you're like, okay, well, how is this supposed to line up? What's the lining up on here supposed to be? The gaps and all this kind of stuff, and which bolts go where. And I mean, having this one's a factory. This one's pretty much the same as it came out of the factory. Hardly, it's very low miles, hardly modified. But it has had a respray. Actually, I could do a video at some point about how to spot if your Defender's been resprayed. That might be an interesting video. Anyway, so it's pretty standard. I've used this one, for example, dashboard screws. I bought a dashboard with this one, T5 dashboard, that I put in, and you get a whole box of screws basically. I had to use this one to work out where all the screws go, because this one's standard, and it's very helpful, and I've put some of that knowledge into LR Workshop for those screws, pictures of those screws exactly, so that there's some kind of retention of that knowledge. But it's invaluable for stuff like that you wouldn't otherwise know. So really having 2 is it's a luxury, but it's with Defenders, because they're so variable in how they came out of the factory, it's almost necessary. I mean, look at this, for example. This is a vent flap on this one. This is as it came out of the factory, and you see the gap in there. There is no gap. This thing doesn't go up any further because it crunches down in there. Look at the gap at the top there, and you can't quite see it, but I put a picture on the screen and you can see the gap difference, and that's the way it came out of the factory. So that's one benefit of having more than one vehicle, is for reference. The second reason, or second interesting point that I've come up with from owning 2 vehicles, all Defenders will probably cost you the same no matter what the purchase price is. Interesting point, huh? This one, in the 10 years I've owned it, it's cost not far off what that one cost in the 5 years I owned it. Even though this one is 1997, it's 23 years old, and it's got 190,000 miles on it. And this one is a 2003, and it's got 40,000 miles on it. So what's the lesson there? Well, you see it quite a lot, and people say it. You buy the best Defender that you can afford. So the reality is that all that money I've spent on this one has been fixing it. I mean, that money is totally on parts. That's not fuel, that's not tax, that's not MOTs, that's not insurance. That's just on, I mean, not keeping it on the road, because I've done things to this that have been extra, but you know, rear fuel tank, plastic fuel tank to make it rose pert, that's 1,400 quid. You know, doing all this stuff has its cost. So yeah, people say that you should always buy a better example of a Defender you want, and you know, it's like with houses, the one you want is always a little bit more expensive, but certainly probably at the end of the day, you know, you wait a bit more, save a bit more, buy a better Defender, and then you know, wait a couple of years, maybe you may get another Defender that's, you can save up and it's better than the one you otherwise would have bought. Interesting point. Doesn't always hand up the way, it doesn't always work out because the way the prices are going, if you wait 2 years, things will probably go up, but for certain models. But anyway, let me know in the comments how many you own, how many you think is too many, how many is the right amount. What I would love is to have one of every model, you know, like a pickup and a 90 or 130, that'd be awesome. And maybe a Camel Trophy one, that would be amazing. And then one of every engine, a Puma, a TD5, a 300 TDI, 200 TDI. Maybe some of those god-awful engines from the 80s, maybe one of those. Maybe a V8, who knows? Wouldn't that be amazing? You'd probably have to have about 25 Defenders to pick up every permutation. That ain't gonna happen. If that happened, then you'd be called Mr. Dunsfold, or whatever his name is. There we go. So yeah, anyway, that was just a little piece of, that was just a bit of a thought experiment there. If you got any thoughts on that, then leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.